How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Untold Ireland. Now, with us today, we have the wonderful John Kelly from Cork. I have to say, lads, this is probably one of the better interviews we've done. I had a great time talking to him. Absolutely phenomenal. Top man. He's some man for one man. Now, I won't keep you much longer. You know the drill. Follow our social medias, all that stuff. And enjoy the interview, guys. I had a blast filming this one. How are we doing today, John?
Very good.
Would you just like to say your name and when and where you were born and where you're from? Just for the camera there.
My name's John Kelly. I'm from Dasheen in Cork City originally, and I was born in 1979. My name's John Paul, so every scumbag in the country born in 1979 was named after the Pope because the Pope came to Ireland apparently. So my mother-in-law says, yeah, every scumbag in the country is called John Paul after the Pope from his visit in 1979, so yeah.
What was it like growing up in Dasheen then?
Good times, yeah, good times. I grew up in a kind of a housing estate. There was 70 or 80 houses, but there was a lot of other housing estates around, so it was good crack, like, good rivalry, tough enough at times, like. Where I was on the kind of border with Co.Cork, which was kind of, funky times there during the 80s, or it was a bit rough at times, and tough job, like, so it was good.
Being from Cork as well, would you say you're a bit of a hurling man?
Yeah, I'd be, growing up I suppose it was the norm for all of us. We would have all played with St. Finbar's, going up the bars would be famous. Yeah. Probably one of the bigger, more famous clubs in the country. So yeah, I'd still be a big hurling head, bit obsessed child. Everyone around our area anyway would be mad for hurling, so like a bit of hurling,
What'd you make of the match with Limerick?
Cork played Limerick right 3 weeks ago, had a draw with them. Down in Parky Cleeve.
That's what I want to watch out.
Yeah, I was at that. Cork and Tipper due to play tonight at 7:30, so I'm kind of half toying with shooting up the road there up the Turles, so I might go to see that tonight, I don't know, maybe.
Do sure,
If I get a pass, like if she'll allow it, like a few points last night, so she may not be too happy, if I announce that I'm heading to Turles from here, like, so. But we'll see. Yeah, but it would have been a big hurling head, still be a big hurling follower, like, So.
And what was it like growing up, going to school then as well?
Well, good crack. I went to school in Bishopstown, in a school called Cláiste Sprinnev in Bishopstown. That was a secondary school. So that would have been, it was good crack actually, it's in Bishopstown, so there would have been a big mix of GAA clubs in the school. So there would have been Bishopstown GAA club. There would have been a couple of Bars heads in the school. There would have been a couple of Ballinora heads in the school from all around the area. So it was a good bit of, there was always a bit of rivalry. So you'd be playing with the boys during the week, and you might have an old championship match with them on a Sunday. You'd be sitting next to them doing double mats on a Friday afternoon, and then you're flaking lumps into each other on a Saturday morning. And then good crack, like
Would you have any funny stories about any shenanigans that went on there?
Jesus, there was plenty of shenanigans. One thing I remember actually, our first I remember it used to play, I think you used to get about under 12 used to be street league, and then you go under 13 you go out and you start playing other clubs. And I never forget our first day, we were playing Nemo Rangers, and so it was a big occasion like that. We were all getting the bus, you'd be getting the bus and you'd be getting togged out over there or whatever, and we used to have a bus driver. He was famous, he was obviously well-priced bus driver, I'd say, like, but he was named Declan O'Brien was his name, but we used to call him Pedal Decky because the bus was struggling to get up a hill, like. So anytime you're going up a hill, say for instance we were playing the Glen, the bus would struggle to get up the hill, you know what I mean? So the whole team would be on the bus going pedal decky, pedal decky, pedal decky, pedal until he got it. But one day we were outside Nemo Rangers waiting for him to collect us anyway, this first day that we had a match. And Decky was late anyway, and so we were all standing outside. There must have been 30 kids, like, we're 12, 13 years of age, but there was a bush full of little berries on it, and so for some reason, I don't know, but the whole lot of us started collecting the berries, like. So we all got on the bus, we were only kids, like. Decky starts pedalling down the link anyway. At the time, the city part of the link was being built. So we're on the link and everyone started flaking berries at Decky, and Decky fucking lost it, stopped the bus, get off the fucking bus, Daddy! Kicked the whole fucking lot of us off the bus. That was a good, Jesus, that must have been 30 odd years ago now, I'd say, yeah, good crack. But I see his son actually still has a bus and still drives a bus, so yeah. He was obviously very well priced anyway if he survived it. They've upgraded the bus since now, right, to be fair.
Still at it, so well done.
They are still at it, making £3 cash money, like.
What was actual school like then?
School was good crack. I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't say I was the most interested in the school. I love school, don't get me wrong, like, but it was a bit of crack, you know, from one end of the day to the next. Like, I didn't
Sitting in the classroom wouldn't be your thing, like?
No, I wouldn't have been that one for sitting still anyway. But yeah, I love school. I just love a bit of crack, like, you know. Geez, I'd still meet teachers and stuff that, geez, I'd still talk to them actually. Yeah, I'd have good relationships with them. No, not so many, not all of them, obviously. I actually spotted my, I went for a pint in Cork the other night with a couple of buddies of mine, and one of the lads clocked one of our teachers who thought he was a bit of a stiffler. I was surprised actually that he wouldn't salute us, you know. He got up and walked out. I was actually surprised. I said to the lads, you say, Jesus, you think he'd say hello? Now, I obviously wrecked his head a bit in school, like, you think he'd get over it. But yeah, I had a good relationship with all the teachers. Most of them I'd still, for instance, now, when I was working, I had an old French teacher, Mary Walsh is her name. I'd have gotten along with her, you know, but Jesus, I never had any interest in French, bit of crack, like, that's all you've been in the class, like, so she's come into the restaurant that I worked in a lot, like, so if I saw her in the restaurant, I'd say, Bonjour Marie, you know, and she'd be like, fuck you bollocks, you wouldn't fucking use French for all those years, you know, so, but I had a good relationship with all the teachers, learned very little, like, but yeah, sure, I wouldn't be one for the crack in the books, like, but I enjoyed school though, it was good times, happy days, like, to be honest,
What was it like when you left school then? Would you have gone into a trade or
well,
college?
I'll be honest, when I was in school, I used to, we used to come down here. When I first came down to Kinmare, I was in about fourth year, I'd say summer holidays in fourth year. I had a buddy, Ray Fitz, who has relatives to Quills in Kinmare.
Alright.
And Ray used to come down and working and staying with him, and he'd gone to me, he said, come down here, we're going to piss or whatever. And I ended up getting a job in the Park Hotel for the summer, and I ended up coming back down the following summer and ended up working in the Riversdale Hotel, and then I did another summer down the Riversdale Hotel, and they were good days, like, working and drinking and happy days, like.
A lot of the people I talked to from when Riversdale was open and all that, they'd say it was kind of the best the town's nightlife has ever been.
Oh, was,
Would you have any stories about shenanigans on the night out? Like,
geez, we used to, like, what first brought us down here really was, as you know, as I said, Ray had relatives down there, but we were in Cork, in the city, you wouldn't get into a pub, like, you wouldn't get served a pint. So you'd be looking for someone, we were in the young fellas, so you'd be looking for someone to either buy you a drink, but then you're getting to the age where you're a bit beyond drinking cans in the cemetery or whatever.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a thirst for pints, and Ray says, I can get us pints down in Kerry, and I know he had a buddy who worked in there, I won't mention her name, Sheila, but she could get us into the nightclub. She was only young fellas, and he said we'd come down. We actually cycled down. I cycled, 5 of us came down, 2 got the bus and 3 of us cycled down there. And we went down our first night, I never forget our first night in the Riversdale, we went down, we winged it, and we went down early, and we dropped Sheila's name or whatever, and Jesus, we got in anyway, and sure, it was like, we were like kids in a sweet shop, like, we couldn't believe, first of all, we were in a nightclub with adults and women, grown up women, real
the
women,
main thing, like.
real women within touching distance, so you can get a fucking near one in Cork, like. So we we tore into the pints anyway, we were early in there now, and we knew nothing, it was our first time in a nightclub, but we tore into the pints. I remember we went up, we didn't know at the time, but there was, in the Riversdale, there was kind of zones that, say, Macroom would sit here, and the Ballyvorney crew would sit here, and the Castletown would be here, and there'd be someone else that way, and there'd be, we knew nothing. We arrived up, and we were up on the stage drinking away or whatever, and then the place started to fill up, I remember, and I remember a fella coming up saying, Leslie, better jog on there, like, you know, they'd be, what are you on about, like, and fucking we weren't long from being told half an hour later, it's the Ballyvorney crowd, like, out you get, like, sure, where there was fucking kick shits and the whole lot. They were good old days though, the Riversdale was great crack back in the day. You don't have that anymore, like.
We don't, no.
Yeah, as in nightclubs are gone now, like.
You have one, like, you could make the argument about Brewhouse in town, but it's not really a nightclub. Like, it has a dance floor out the back.
I know what you mean.
That's it. Like,
nothing compared to the Riversdale back in the day. I remember.
No.
Jesus, there could be 2,000 people, I'd say, in the Riversdale on a Saturday night or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember coming out, there'd be buses. Like, there'd be 7 or 8 buses, cars, and whatever the days. Then there'd be fellas driving or whatever, and good days in Riversdale though. I actually I met my wife in the Riversdale.
oh, really?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I met her in there. She was working there, and that's where we met. We actually got our wedding photographs done in Riversdale.
Oh, that's lovely.
Since it's closed down, like, but we actually got our photos done on the grounds, on the derelict grounds for a bit of crack, actually. Because I suppose that's where we met as well, like, I dodged that bullet now if I never went to Kenmare, like, but good days. Riversdale is a good spot now. Plenty of stories come out of there over the years.
Sure, kind of everyone we've interviewed so far who would have went to Riversdale and all that stuff, they all have loads of stories to say about the place. Like, kind of, especially as well when all the crowds from, kind of Bear, different parts of Kerry, they all come together and the lads be out the front flaking the shit out of each other.
Absolutely, nightly, always fights there. Like, no, those were days too. Fights were fights. They were fair. You know, there was a couple of digs thrown. There might have been a bit of a pile on some handbags. No one ever got killed. Nowadays it's a different scenario. A fight outside a pub nowadays is a hell of a lot different to back them days. It was couple of digs, there was never any weapons or anything like that.
Especially as well because it's kind of, back then you'd have a fight with some fella outside the pub, and there'd be 2v flake shit out of each other and nothing to come for it. Whereas now it's like, if you hit a fella a bad bang, all of a sudden there's cameras and then you're gone to court. And
there is, and I always say this with the lads as well, that I mightn't appear now, but I'm not a man for the gym, like, but nowadays, every second young fella is ripped, like, you know what I mean, as in they're, like, not the cameraman Tom, he just thinks it, but, no, you see young fellas that are, do you know what I mean, 16, 17 stone and muscle, and if one of them was to throw you a dig, it's a lot different, and a lot of them are trained now as well, and they're into the UFC and the Conor McGregor, and they all think they're Conor McGregor.
Like the gym, the UFC, the boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all of that has got much more popular, I'd say, even in the last, 10 years. So kind of, depending on who you go up to, so everyone has some little lick of training into them, like, do you know?
Nowadays, like, you'd be wary nowadays, that's half the reason why I kind of come down here an awful lot more is there's never any grief around here. Do you know what I mean? There might be an old word thrown here or there, but there's never any violence. There's
never anything bad.
No, and like nowadays I think the cities in particular, they're not enjoyable to go out and have a pint. I was actually only out Thursday night having a pint in the city with a couple of buddies, and it's not a nice vibe around the place. You know, it's not. There's grief. People annoying each other, and too much drink, too much drugs, too much aggression. So that's why we bail out now and come down here and just wreck people's heads down here instead, like, rather than get mine wrecked up over in the city. You know. So
I'd say that's a big problem as well nowadays. That's only slowly starting to get worse and worse. Like, obviously they were around when, in your time as well, like, not to be on your old, right? Like, I don't mean like that.
I feel old, alright, to be fair,
No, but it's like, sure, every second fella you meet in a pub now is off his tits on chat.
On cocaine, it's a big problem, Do
you know, like, I'll give you an example now. Back when the Wander Inn was open, we were all out the back playing pool. We'd only been about 18, 19. And there was this fella came up and he was out of his mind on MD. And a gang of lads walked out, about 18 of them, and they were saying they wanted to play pool and all this stuff. So this one young fella, I'd say, he was only about 16, and he was off his tits on MD. And he went up to them, jaw swinging and everything, tried to fight every single one of them. And then, then he get the shit kicked out from then as well, like, do you know?
That's inevitably what happens,
so you're just kind of have to, you'd be very careful where you go now, like, do you know?
Yeah, you do genuinely, because cocaine makes people, gives them notions. I don't know, I don't take cocaine, but you do, it's everywhere, and there's a hell of a lot of aggression on the back of it everywhere you go. I actually noticed it in Killarney.
It's big in Killarney now as well.
Yeah, I was in Killarney at a stag, 2 summers ago. I was shocked, like, I hadn't been out in Killarney in years, but I was shocked that it was so jacked up, and, fellas, like, you don't associate Kerry farmers with cocaine, really. Like,
It's all the Gaelheads.
Yeah, the Gaelheads, like,
The Gaelheads are mad for it.
Yeah, well, I'd be a Gaelhead now, so I'd be in the rugby crowd or whatever. They have the fucking money for it, the Ga boys don't.
Yeah.
No, there is a lot of cocaine around, and it's, yeah, it's, look, whatever, each to their own, but I don't think it does society much good in the long term, really.
It really doesn't, no.
It doesn't, like.
Kind of moving away from all the drug talk now.
Yeah.
You said you met your wife in Riversdale.
Yeah.
So, what was the plan of action then after you met her? Like, go back up to Cork?
Funny, yeah, I suppose it just worked out. I met her, I suppose I would have worked with her during the summer, and then I remember we were down over the Christmas on the piss, and I bumped into her, and she ended up trapping me that Christmas, actually, and so I went back to Cork. I was actually in Leaving Cert, doing my Leaving Cert at the time.
Yeah.
And she rang me a couple of months later and said she'd moved to Cork. She was living in Cork, down in Jewtown in Cork, with a couple of girls she knew, and kind of went from there. What was kind of funny was having met here in Kerry, she moved to Cork. I was from Cork, but I was mad into the cooking at the time. I was mad to become a chef or whatever. So my chefing was done in Kinmare. So our first summer together, having met in Kinmare, she was living in Cork and I was living in Kinmare. My first summer cooking actually in the Riversdale.
Yeah.
So I used to hitch up and down the road to her, or she'd come down when she could, and obviously her parents are there, so she'd come down and stay there, went from there. There was no real plan.
Yeah.
It just kind of evolved, and I suppose we're, 26 years later, here we are, like,
Not bad.
Yeah, childhood sweethearts, I suppose, in a way, like, we were young when we met, like, but, there was never really a plan, it just kind of more evolved, like, and, Tara at the time, she wasn't a massive fan of Kerry, I suppose, they'd originally from West Belfast, so having been taken out of a war zone of West Belfast and brought down to Kilgarvan.
Yeah.
It's a small bit of a culture shock, I'd say.
Definitely, yeah.
So as soon as she was old enough, she wanted out. So hence why she moved to Cork then.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, I suppose. I spent a few years up and down here, and then ended up going to college in Cork and working in Cork. She ended up getting a job. She actually ended up going to college in Cork as well, a couple of times. And we ended up settling in Cork, So I was never going to settle anywhere else anyway, like, you know, I get the jitters if I'm out of Cork for too long, like. So,
there would have been no notions about putting a nest down in Kerry or anything.
No. Now the older I get, and the more I'm down here, I do enjoy spending time down here. Nowadays, like, the locals are good, they're a bit of crack, like, Bartenders can be hit and miss now, alright, to be fair, but I do like it. The older I get, I don't mind. Nowadays, it's an hour up and down the road, so it's grand. Like,
it's not that bad at all. Like.
I had to sleep last night after work and hopped into the car and came down here. I still had 5-6 pints last night, no bother, so this is actually my local. I don't have a local at home in Cork. I use this as my local, like. So.
Oh, bad.
Yeah, it's grand. Yeah. So it kills two birds with one stone. I get to see the mother-in-law and all that as well when I'm down. So.
Oh, bad.
Happy days.
You mentioned the chefing there as well. What would have actually been your first job you worked when you came out of school then?
Oh, my first job.
Yeah.
Was my uncle got me a job. His buddy had a sheet metal and insulation company, so I would have got my first job when I was about 14. That was in 1994, because I know my outfit was at the World Cup in USA in 94 and I was working. But that would have been my first job. My first job as a chef is when I came down to Kerry, and I ended up working as a kitchen porter in the Park Hotel. And loved it. Loved the buzz in the kitchen, the crack, good banter, the adrenaline, everyone worked hard, played hard, got on together, great crack. So watching all the chefs in there, I loved it, you know what I mean? I wanted a piece of the action, so I kind of went pursuing it from there, trying to get, could I get into the kitchen? I ended up in the Riversdale. Ray, the guy who came down here, originally had a friend who was running the Riversdale at the time. Willie Creedon was his name, and went down and had a chat with Willie, and Willie gave me a start, and yeah, fairness, the rest is history. Like, yeah, I got I did 3 months with him there that time, hadn't a clue what I was at, and then played for college and got into college, and yeah, so I went from
What
there.
you do in college then? Was it chefing or?
Yeah, chefing, yeah, that's all I wanted, like, geez, that was in fourth year when I went into the Park Hotel, so I knew from fourth year on, I wanted to be a chef.
Yeah.
So hence why I didn't pay too much attention to, history class, or I knew what I wanted. I was, I suppose, narrow-minded in a way, like, but yeah, I knew what I wanted when I wanted to be a chef. That's all I wanted to be. I loved it.
And was it more that you fell in love with the actual, like, the job of being a chef, or you just loved cooking food?
It was, look, I loved food. I remember my mother was a fantastic cook.
Yeah.
I know in the 80s, when we were very young, we were eating stuff that none of the boys around the place, we were eating, Thai curries and quiches and stuff that none of the boys around, the boys were eating spuds and bacon and cabbage, whereas we were having kind of tropical stuff. My mother was mad into cooking, so I think that's where I got the love for food. But it was when I got into the Park Hotel's kitchen and saw what the lads were in there. Mm-hmm. It was the adrenaline and the whole the buzz in the kitchen that would get you hooked.
I know what you mean actually, because my first job I would have been a kitchen porter, and I was about 15. I would have been at that for about 2 months. I had to leave it all go to do the junior cert then. And then
it's tough work, isn't it?
It is hard, especially because I was inside in a place in town. It'd be very very busy in the summer, like So I was getting given out not washing in pots fast enough and all this.
I got a few of them my day as well, boy.
But then I was a waiter then for a long time then as well after.
That's tough work too, boy.
Yeah, but it's always like front of house with all the waiters and the barman and everything. Most of the time, it's shite crack. Just call it a spade. But then you go into the kitchen then, and you've got the lads like there's always some like metal music or something on, and the lads are all just having a crack.
I'll be honest with you, like I've worked with hundreds of chefs, and the majority of chefs are mad. Like there's a bit of a want in you, like I always say, chefing's not an occupation. It's a kind of a vocation. Like you're not in chefing for the money. You're not in it for the great sociable hours and the it's the adrenaline you're in it and the love of the game.
You love the work, like
you have to love the work. You'd have to because chefing would chew you up and spit you out if you didn't like what you were doing very quickly. Like, and I've seen it happen a lot of times over the years. Like, chefing will, if there's a crack there, chefing will find it. It's a tough game, but I tell you, it's good crack. Like,
one last question about the chefing now before we move on.
Walk away, man.
Do you have any funny stories?
Jesus, I could keep you here all day.
Walk away,
in the kitchen are, as I say, kitchens are the best crack ever. As you know yourself, like.
Yeah.
There's endless crack in the kitchen, no matter what. There's always someone to wind up. Like, but Jesus, stories. I've worked with hundreds. I was chefing for 26 years or something like that. So, yeah, you meet some fruity characters. You meet some. I actually worked with a guy. Chippy was his name, and Roberto was his name. A Spanish fella, and I was working with him for about two and a half years. Nice fella. He was a kitchen porter, and then he went down and he was starting to serve people, and nice fella, like. And I got on very well with him. And the boss came up to me one day and says, "I think we need to get rid of Roberto." Like, boy, there was a problem with his visa.
Oh.
That he had claimed to be Spanish, but what actually the boss at the time. There was a Spanish couple in the restaurant. They were ordering, they were having problems with the English and the whole lot. So the boss went out and asked, "Hang on, I get Roberto there. He'll take the order off you, like."
Yeah.
Spanish Roberto. So Roberto goes down to take the order, and she was kind of looking on Roberto had no clue what they were saying to him. They were talking in Spanish. She man was Romanian. No wonder he didn't know what they were saying in Spanish. But he had bought a PPS number off a Spanish fella to get registered. Turned out he was an asylum seeker in Ireland. Back in the day when, before what we have now, on the asylum seeker front or whatever, but he arrived into Ireland, long story short, didn't want to be an asylum seeker and be kind of in a direct provision or whatever, so he actually pulled a legger, ended up buying this PPS number and trying to get work in the kitchen. Fairness to him, like, he wanted to better himself.
Yeah.
But we let him go, or he had to go. He had to go at the time, obviously, and he went his way. And I kept in contact with him for a couple of years after it. One time I was driving home from, I was down in West Cork anyway, somewhere. We were driving home through Bandon on a Monday morning, and there was cops everywhere, and fucking it was mad, like, and I was wondering, there's something that's happening in Bandon. We went home that night, and there was a murder in Bandon. The following day I looked at the rest of the fella. They'd arrested Berto for a double murder in Bandon. Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
Mad, like, it's not often you work with a double murderer, like, so frightening, still in prison actually, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, you meet some crazy characters in kitchens, like, yeah.
Definitely in the kitchens,
them all, like, they're all, you meet some colourful characters, yeah.
Yeah, especially as well, last thing about chefing now, but it's, like, if you've had a bad start, like, it is a very good way, it's a career you can go into that. It is. Once you put in the groundwork at the start, you can flip everything around then, and then you're set, like.
You're right. You know. It's a career that if you apply yourself, you don't have to be talented, you don't have to be, you see these boys on TV now and they're going on this, it's like science.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that way to make a career in chefing. But you do need to be disciplined and hard working and listen, have good communication or whatever. But like,
trying to just have a good eye for presentation.
But you can even be taught presentation. You can learn. All you need is the basics, and you can learn the rest. But all you need is a good attitude. Be prepared to work. But over the years, it's fantastic it's one job that, I've seen guys coming in, fellas who've been out of prison, who struggled in jobs, who haven't had jobs, and they just take to chefing. These guys are brilliant chefs still, like, like, and that was one thing that I used to love about chefing, is getting a fella green, hadn't a clue, and not kicking it into him, like, but putting your heart and soul into him to get him good, and get him up. Some fellas, you'll end up killing each other, they go their way, but other fellas take to it like a duck to water. It's a brilliant. I was actually looking recently, there's a thing in Cork Prison that they're trying to train with MTU, the catering department in MTU. Yeah, they're actually in training prisoners in there, so that when they get released, that they can get into the catering industry. Obviously, there's a shortage of chefs in the industry, and someone has actually tweeted that it's brilliant for these guys. Are looking for discipline, they're looking for routine, and that it provides that, like, especially
because the long hours as well, and you be working most of the days of the week.
You do work hard, you work long, you work unsociable hours. I've stopped chefing since COVID, but one thing now, when I stopped, it's as much of an addiction as for me it was now. I realised, like, I was just addicted to the adrenaline. Saturday night, 9 o'clock. You're loving it. Like, when it's good, it's brilliant. When it's bad, it'll chew you up and spit you out, like.
It'd be on the busy days, you're flat out. Time would fly. You wouldn't even realise it's passing. And then on a quiet day, because everyone in there is such a unique character, and it's all different walks of life or anything, you would have a great time just staying in the kitchen on a quiet day, telling stories with the lads, like.
Oh big time. Like, I worked with a guy, Dave Hearn was his name, a good buddy of mine now. He's died since, God rest his soul, but he was a Scottish guy, good sense of humour. Dave, he's fancied himself as a bit of a stand-up comedian, like, he'd do it on set the odd time, but so we'd always be non-stop annoying each other, but I remember we did through a phase of, we'd finish up work, 11:30, 12 at night, you go home, Dave would have a few pints, I'd go home, see Turner or whatever, and I don't know how it came about, but we got into the habit of saying goodnight to each other.
Oh yeah.
Before you go to bed. Should you be home now? You might have killed each other inside work all night, and you go home and you be going to bed at 2:30 in the morning. You might flick him a text going good night.
Yeah.
And so this was going on and on and on and on, like, and it was getting later and later. Like, Dave would be sending me a message 7:15 in the morning. We'd be working at 12, like, Dave, good night. Eventually, I got a phone call one day. Hello, how are you? This is Mary. It was Dave's wife. If you don't stop texting my husband at 6 or 7 in the morning, kick this shit out of you. Yeah, so that nipped that in the bud, alright. But yeah, stupid shit like that. There's always a wind up in the kitchen that, you know, we've a leak in the sink, or, you know, stupid shit. And chefs have quite a gutterish sense of humour as well, like, you know, they're not shy.
It's kind of all like the group of the hospitality jobs now. It'd be like the waiters, kitchen porters, chefs, you know, barmen, all them that work the unsociable hours. So I noticed anyway, I was barman for like 4 years myself. You'd be working then, and it'd be closing shift or something. So let's say you got caught rotten now and you're on a split shift. You start at 12, you're off for like 2 hours in the middle of the day, and then you're back in for closing then. So you come out then at 11:30 or whenever, and you go straight in for a pint, like, do you know? And then if that kind of keeps up then, and I had to slap myself anyway, because I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. I was like, oh, here, I don't know how long I can, I don't know how long I can keep this up, like. But then it's like, then when you get a normal job then after, because I came out of the bar and I went in doing retail for a while.
9 to 5, like.
9 to 5. It was horrible. The day is so slow, you know, there's no crack. Like, you'd miss the tips as well then, it'd be a big thing. But really what it was, it's like, you would make great friends who are also in the same industry as you. Because you'll meet them in the pub after and you're like, oh, where are you working? Like,
there's pubs now in Cork, same thing. There'll be one pub in particular that it's kind of an unwritten rule. There's all the restaurant staff drink there, so the pub wouldn't even pick up till about 11 o'clock usually, but we used to always use it if I wasn't much of a drinker after work. But if you're ever going for a drink, you go down there and you'd meet all the other waiters and chefs from all around the other restaurants, and because it was a late bar, they knew it was a bar, it wasn't it was a normal bar, it wasn't a disco bar, so the chefs who aren't pissed out of their heads at 11:30 at night, they're only going for their first pint. They just go in there, but it was great, you go in there and you meet all the crowd from all the other restaurants, and you'd be great rivalry and backstabbing and f***er and mind that silly that kind of carry on. But yeah, it was all was fair and love and war, like, but
I'd say that's an important part of it as well, because like, for example, when I got into bar work anyway, you'd have all the friends and all them, they'd be, oh, I'm at my 9 to 5, my 8 to 6, all this. They're like, oh, are you off the weekend? I'm like, nah, lad, I'm working till 11:30. I might see you after, you know. So it's good then. So then when you do go out, you can make friends with people who are in the same industry as you.
You do. You meet. Look, it's great to go on the piss. Like, that was a good thing. There's always someone to go on the piss with. If you're a chef or you're working in a restaurant or hotel, there's always people will be going out late. But that's a kind of a slippery slope as well. A small bit. Like, I've seen that over the years. It's grand, don't get me wrong, when you're in that, you're young, you're 20, 21, 22. It's different when you hit your 30s. And you kind of see fellas, you know, it's hard. Look, I'm lucky, but you do see fellas struggling with relationships. It's very hard to keep, like, how you're working when everyone else isn't working. Your job is to actually serve people who are out to enjoy themselves. It's very hard to keep a relationship steady. You know, it's grand if your wife is in the catering industry, she might know, or your husband or whatever, but it is difficult, like, it is, you know, that you're working every Saturday. You know, guaranteed you're working most weekends, bank holidays, Christmas Eve. It took me stopping to realise, Jesus,
so much your life just flies away.
Like, a lot for me. To kind of, she met me, I was a chef when we met, it was all I ever wanted to be. She never ever, she only always encouraged me and supported me, but it took me to stop to kind of go, that was a small bit selfish, you know. I missed a lot. I remember coming down here, say for instance, Ollie, my father-in-law, 60 and stuff like that. You got to work, so I used to have to get in the car and drive down here. I'd arrive down here then at 12:30 at night. Having missed important milestones like christenings, weddings, stuff like that, it's a sacrifice you make. But it's a bit. You do have to be a bit selfish, I suppose. But it is difficult. Like, you do see people in chefing. Addiction is a big problem in chefing. Huge problem, and mental health. Is a big one as well. In chefing, you see a lot of addiction, a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs, a lot of cocaine. Drink is, look, I suppose that's well known as well. Chefs are piss heads a lot of the time.
Yeah, sure. When I was barman, anyway, you know, you'd be quite nice. You'd have the three boys inside in the kitchen. Like, you'd have the chef, the sous chef, and then the kitchen porter.
Yeah.
And you'd be inside there having a crack with them. It's just no one at the bar, like. So the boys would be like, "Oh, you run us out of shot," like.
Yeah.
John, it'd be nothing of it. So you go home and you're after having like 2 or 3 shots. During fucking work day. Go out then after, have a couple, like 6 or 7 more of them. Show up to work the next day. You're still pissed. And you do the same thing as well.
The same, but that, man, I did it all. I remember being in the Riversdale doing I used to do breakfast shifts for a while. They were giving me, I was shite, I couldn't burn water at the time. But yeah, I used to do the breakfast shift, and then you'd go away and you come in and you do the evening shift. But I don't know how a couple of us ended up drinking with this couple. They're from Dublin, and we'd go up after work. You go up to the bar, and you'd end up talking to the guests or whatever. Like, so you're only putting your wages back in over the bar. Yeah. I remember talking to this couple in there one night, in the bar one night. They were selling there from Dublin. Your man was a mad snooker head, I don't know, but we ended up talking to him. The bar was closing up, and obviously your man, the night port, was like, "Lads, f*** off," like, so. Yeah. They were like, "Come up to our room. We drink up in the room, we go up and have a lash of drink." So you're up in the room drinking up in the top floor of the Riversdale, which is about 5 stories, I'd say. I can't remember, was it 3 or 5 stories? You're a good bit up anyway.
It's 4, I think.
Is it about that? Yeah. Well, remember he built the roof, and about 4 stories in the Macchia roof, like.
I've gone into it since it's 3 or 4.
3 or 4,
It's up off the ground.
We were up off the ground anyway. Long story short, we were up there drinking. It was late, and I was like, you know, bearing in mind now there were staff quarters in the hotel, like. Yeah. So I went up. I says, before we go up, if we're going up to the room drinking, this must have been 4 o'clock in the morning, like. I better grab my uniform, because I'd have to come and go to work straight from there. So we were up in the room, pissed. And I had my uniform, one of the lads, "Mind your uniform, open the window, it out the window." I can remember my apron going like that down thing, and lands in the garden of the Riversdale, like. So I pissed out of my head, had to leave the room, go down out into the garden, pick up my grassy wet uniform, put it on, and go down and serve breakfast, like. It was good days, like. Yeah, you'd be starting breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning. Half the time you're drinking till 5 or 6. Yeah. You go in and wing out the breakfast thing, home, get a couple of hours kip, back down at 5 o'clock for the evening service, and then it's rinse and repeat. Yeah. Great when you're young, not so great when you're.
Yeah, it is a rare day when you get over 8 hours sleep when you're working in hospitality, like.
True. I haven't had 8 hours sleep. Jesus, definitely.
And then that habit sticks, like, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm a terrible sleeper. Yeah. But a lot of that stress as well, like. Stress, well, it was for me anyway. I'm an awful stress head. But I'm terrible sleeper. But you be, especially in the kitchens, like, you get a bit obsessed. But you could be lying in bed and
you're still wired, like, you can't sleep at all.
Thinking about, did I order enough garlic? Or, you know, have we, Jesus, how much was the hake today? It shouldn't have been that. Yeah. It's very hard to wind your mind down, like, you know. But I found that anyway. Some fellas are better than it, obviously. Like. Yeah. Yeah, better than me, clearly.
Final question about the chefing now.
Yeah.
Would you have worked anywhere else, kind of outside of Ireland?
Myself and Tierna, we did the Irish thing. We went and saw a bit of the world. That's where we headed towards Australia. At the time, we were kind of going, we were going to see whether we like it or stay. So yeah, I worked a bit for a while, a couple of months in Brisbane, doing bits in a restaurant actually, along the riverside there in Brisbane. I can't remember, Daniel's was the name of it or something. Good times, yeah. A bit different to the Irish cooking, like. Apparently nowadays Australia has really improved. Their hygiene now back, when we were there, I think I was there in 2003. But they would have been a bit behind hygiene wise, and you know. But one thing about they had so much variety. There's so many different cultures in Australia. Yeah, they had brilliant variety of food, Lebanese, and you know, all different types of food. It was very good for that. But good times working in Australia. Same thing though. Yeah, out on the piss, working hard, playing hard. The money was good actually in Australia. Yeah, made some money, but we were over there on the piss trying to see the place. Money was good, so you'd work hard, get paid, save up, and move on and go on to the next victim or whatever. But yeah, it was good crack. I enjoyed Australia. It wasn't for me. And Foxy, like, I kind of survive out there. So we bailed out after
a year.
Tomato. Yeah, I come up like a pink tomato. But yeah, we came home. Australia was nice, but yeah, I wouldn't. It didn't appeal to me anyway to stay there.
Yeah,
you know?
it's kind of. Do you know, you just go out there and you see how you feel about it. Like, I have a friend out there at the moment now, and she's front of house, like, she's waiting, and she loves it over there, like, because, you know, she loves the sun, she hates the Irish weather, she's making better money than she'd be making here anyway.
That's true.
She gets to see a new place, beaches everywhere, you know.
And they have a good lifestyle, everything's outdoors, you want to have a barbecue in 6 weeks' time on a Saturday, you can do it.
Yeah.
You couldn't plan... You know, you can't plan anything like that.
You can't plan.
You know what I mean?
Shite.
You can't plan to walk to fucking shop, you know, without an umbrella here. But over there, you can. Everything's outdoors. If you're into the beaches, surfing, they have a brilliant lifestyle out there for that.
Especially with how popular like raves and everything have got these days.
Yeah.
Like, there's always raves on the beaches. You know, like the nightlife over there.
Well, they know to party. The Aussies are. They do. They do. But. Nice place, loved it actually, lovely spot. I'd love to go back there. I'm always saying I'd like to go back there, but when I have the money, I suppose I will. But living there didn't really appeal to me. No, but the good times out there as well. I was living out there with a lot of Cork lads actually. A couple of guys we ended up out there that I went to school with, and we all kind of ended up being linked or whatever. But some good times out there in Brisbane at that stage. It was a good, I guess, 8 or 9 of us living in an apartment out there. A few Cork lads, a few dubs and that, but Cork had a good run at the hurling actually in 03. They had a good hurling team that time, and geez, we great crack going out to them. Cork and Waterford was a huge hurling rivalry at the time. Yeah. And they had a couple of ding-dong Munster Championship battles that year. Really some cracks for the games used to be until 2 in the morning out there or something, you know? Yeah. So you'd be out drinking all night waiting for the fucking game to come on.
But like watching the UFC here, like...
Yeah, there's one time actually, that was one of the times I ever slept it out for work actually, was after Cork beat Waterford in an epic Munster final there. Yeah. Santo had been a couple of goals that day with Cork, but it went to our heads and we went on the absolute piss. And it was the one time, I'd say, in my life that I was late for work. I just couldn't get out of bed and get home till about 7 or 8 in the morning. I think I was supposed to be in work for about 10, trying to wait till about 11:30. Yeah. But it was worth it, like.
Sure, it's bound to happen at some stage, like, because Jolly done the same thing, and when you're at it for so long, you're burning the candle at both ends. It's gonna meet in the middle at some point, like.
But I'd be a stiffer with time now. That was actually one of the few times in my life I was late for work, I'd say. Yeah, on the piss. It was worth it though. They were beaten in the final that year now, so.
Again,
yeah. Well, if won it 2 years in a row after that, and then they shot the bed for the 3 in a row afterwards, and we haven't been back there since, so we haven't won one since.
How did you feel about the one last year?
Still not ready to talk about that now. It's small but raw still. Yeah, it was a sickener. It was probably the one that got away. They should have won it, I thought. I felt it was the one that it was their time, like, to win it. I thought they'd done everything right. I thought they were the better team going into it. They were favourites. Sickener, fair play to Clare and all that, like, but yeah, it was a sickener. An epic game, but I was sick from a Cork point of view, like. But look, hopefully we go again and might sharpen them up. They might have a crack off it this year, hopefully.
Yeah. You mentioned Australia there.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about what it was like, kind of travelling around the gaff, exploring?
It was good times. It was a great crack. Like, sure, we went out there, green as the grass, like, and the ocean was just look. It was the done thing at the time. Was Australia then? It's probably Canada these days or whatever. But as I was saying earlier, we coincidentally ended up. I had a buddy out there, and a couple of lads that I knew from school were out there. We ended up knocking around with them and meeting other people, and but great times, like. Good times. It's kind of stuck a bit. If I had my time back, I probably would have spread my wings a bit more and mixed a bit more with the local Australians, really. Because at the time, backpacking wasn't massive. Now, it was a thing, obviously, but I think the Irish were still a bit of a novelty over there. They were happy to see the Irish a bit. In particular, up around Brisbane, where we spent a good bit of time up around the Brisbane area. They love the Irish around there, you know. Not so much by the time we got back down to Sydney. There were, I say, they were getting a bit frustrated with the whole backpackers and, you know, causing trouble and blah blah blah. But yeah, good times with the old backpacking. You shoot great stories, like you're doing stupid shit, like. And I remember one time there's a big GA community in Australia, and as I was saying, we were travelling with two lads, Pa and Steve. There were two Limerick curling heads, sound fellas, but they had a Volkswagen combi van. But it's good, the boys were playing a bit of GA. Again, I wasn't playing anything because I was chefing. So again, there's your social life gone. But the boys used to go out to the GA pitch days and matches or whatever. And I don't know, one day we were in Brisbane. This is the match. This is there, I'll go out, like, you know, and sure it turned out then there was the two boys and then there was me and then there was another one or two who jumped on and ended up about 7 or 8 of us putting into the combi, like, and we were driving up the road, and Steve says, "Oh, we pull in there." I don't know what I'd say. He'd probably getting petrol or something. And we pulled into a petrol station, and coincidentally, 2 cops on horses, mounted police, walked past and spotted 8 or 9 of us hopping out of the back of a combi van. That was the end of that. Anyway, it was mad. Steve was threatened to be arrested by 2 cops on horses, like. Stupid carry on like that, you know.
Yeah.
The Irish were a bit, I suppose we were a bit reckless, like, you know, young and stupid as well a bit, like, but good times, like, good times.
You said the backpacking there, would that be more now like, oh, we'll hitch from this place to that place, or?
No, no, not really. It was, no, the backpacking, you arrive in a city, find somewhere to stay, quick around there for a while.
Or a motel or something like.
Yeah, hostels, stuff like that, and then you meet people. We were lucky, as I said, we knew a couple of Irish over there. There's always people coming and going, so, you know, if you got a bed in an apartment, you were laughing, someone's moving out for a few weeks, you'd wing it there, and somehow, fairness now, the Irish were good to each other out there. If you knew someone, they'd always look out for you and you try and get it, like, and as I was saying with the GA out there, that was brilliant, like, all the lads, anyone who played GA, you get a job on the back. If you join a GA club, you get a job out there on the back with someone look after you for it. I suppose it's the same in America. But the GA, they probably still are very good to the Irish community out there as well, you know. They all stick together out there.
Yeah.
Good times though, yeah.
There's GA communities all over the world as well. Like, we saw right before this interview, London beat Roscommon. What was it yesterday in the hurling?
Yeah.
No, it was yesterday. It was a while ago.
No, it was a couple of weeks ago. But then there's a hurling club in Rwanda. Like, you wouldn't believe that. Yeah, they play like this everywhere, all over the world. Yeah, it's bad.
So you wouldn't think it, but like the actual influence of Irish people across the world is massive. Sure, you look at the 3 biggest countries for drinking pints of Guinness. You've got Ireland, England, and you wouldn't think of the third one at all. It's Nigeria.
Nigeria, yeah.
Do you know, like...
they have a Guinness brewery in Nigeria. That's crazy, like. But look at Guinness now. The shortage of Guinness there over in London, I suppose it's trendy now with young people, so it's going to go through the roof.
Sure, even they have a shortage of 0-0 as well, like. Because now with our generation now anyway, everyone's kind of, I have to mind my calories, I want to do this when I'm this age.
That's the whole gym culture again and the fitness, which is a good thing I suppose, like,
Yeah, but at the same time, like, there's nothing that beats going out for a couple of pints with the lads and getting hammered in a place you love where you know you've a safe way home.
Yeah. Someone will pick you up and bring you home. You can't beat it, to be fair. For me anyway, I'd be a fan of that myself. Like, I wouldn't be counting the calories, like, you know.
No, I wouldn't be doing that.
No, it's not for me. But
like,
actually, look, you get one life, man. Go and live it. That's the way I look at it. Go and give it socks and we could be there counting calories and avoiding rashers and go step outside the door and get a smack of a bus. You know. So what good does that fit in, like?
At the end of the day, like, if you eat relatively proper food.
You obviously don't take the piss, like, but
small bit of exercise.
Each to their own. I'm just not a big fitness head or whatever, like, but, you know, each to their own. But some people take it very seriously, like, you know.
Yeah. And they'd be no crack to go out with then as well.
Yeah, live with it, like, you know. That's the way I do it. No, I've no problem if a fellow wants to be fit and healthy and all that, but on the other side, right, and people can bring it a small bit too far, like, you know.
Yeah. Going back to Cork now, what would you say is the difference between growing up city versus county?
I don't know, like, there's kind of different levels of cuteness, I suppose. In Cork, say, we were kind of, I would have said we were kind of streetwise when we were young, you know. You'd have your wits about you. There's different kind of cuteness, like, in a way. Yeah, you'd have to have your wits about you. You'd know where to walk, where not to walk. If you were on your own, you'd know where to walk. You'd have to know how to run as well the odd time. When we were kids, like, young, like, not that dangerous nor anything, but you know. But it's a bit different then you come to the county. When I first started to come down here, it's a completely different kind of culture in a way, you know. Yeah, one thing about villages and all that, which the more time I spend down here, is that everyone knows each other in villages. Like, in the city, you don't get that. You don't get, like, I'm living in, where I'm living now, we're living there 15 years. I don't know all the neighbours, like, I know two on either side, and I know one or two randomly around the estate, but you don't know all the neighbours. Whereas in here, in Kilgarvan, everyone knows everyone, you know, and if they didn't, you wouldn't have to ask two people to find out who he is. I see, when I come in here, I see fellas asking, who's that funky fella there? And you know they're getting, someone's telling them who I am.
Yeah.
That's one thing. There's fierce accountability down here. Whereas in the city, you can go, no one knows you. No one gives a shit who you are either. Yeah, exactly. And no one cares. But there's way less sense of community then on the back of that. And that's one thing that I enjoy down here, is that you come down and you all look after each other down here. You know, you'd see, say for instance, now the last day we were here, I think Teddy was dropping wood up to somebody, and they're all, you know, everyone has a kind of a purpose. Like, even last night when I was in here, was it Joe went outside, I heard banging out the side, he was out bringing in the barrels from Airy, stuff like that. Like that city. You know, people, you mind your own business, keep yourself to yourself.
Be more worried about the barrels getting robbed than someone bringing them back.
And it's funny actually, because when I came down here last night, I walked in, I actually passed the two barrels, and my instant thought was, they'd be robbed. Yeah. I better go in and ask Mary, does she want me to lift them? Now I have a broken collarbone at the moment, and I went out of my head. And then I heard Joe doing it, and I actually said to her, I meant to ask Mary, does she want me to put in them barrels, like, you know. My instinct would be, should they be robbed? Yeah. Whereas, and it would be, in the city they'd be gone, half an hour, gone. Yeah. But down here, they probably still be out there. Or one of the locals would see them and bring them in if they were forgotten about. Yeah. Didn't go missing, like.
So you would still get away with it here, like, but
you would,
even town, for example, now, you couldn't do that in town.
Would you not know?
No, because
there's been cakes robbed, like.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sure, gang lads I used to be friends with anyway when I was younger. Yeah. Used to be a bit of a tosser myself, to be honest, like. But what they done is they went out the back of a pub and they robbed two kegs. Yeah. Brought them into the golf club, took one of the flags from the golf thing, like, and hammered it down into the top of them and started trying to pour pints for themselves. Didn't know how a keg worked at all, like. Yeah. So I got all videos of this and everything when I was sitting at home, and I was like, Jesus Christ, lads, could you be arsed, like?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be into robbing kegs, no, like, no. Yeah. No, wouldn't be my, but as I was saying, that is the difference. There's still, in the country, maybe not so much, but there is a very good sense of community, and people look out for each other around here. There's all, like, my mother-in-law Marie, she has been very well for the last few years, but you know, every time I come in here, 8 or 9 people will ask you, how's Marie? People drop down to the house. That wouldn't happen in the city, you know. The neighbours wouldn't be waiting down the door to come in and check on you or anything like that. As sure, locally there was a woman in the lock in Cork City just recently. She died in her house. Yeah. And hadn't been found for like fucking years. This is in the city centre. Yeah. With a car parked in the driveway and trees overgrowing it. And it was actually, apparently, I was reading the case, apparently it was a pest control problem, which got her discovered.
Yeah, it would have been the smell.
I can't get my head around that, like, surely someone around, like, but that's the difference, that wouldn't happen around here.
Something similar happened up the country recently as well. I don't remember which county it was, but there was an old married couple. Yeah. No one had heard from for 2 months. Yeah. And someone walked into the house.
It was in Kerry.
It was in Kerry, was it?
It was in Kerry recently. They had a note on the door. they had left. They were from Cork, that couple, and they kept themselves to themselves, and yeah, they had killed themselves inside the house, but lay undiscovered in there, you know, and that's sad. Like
They killed themselves.
they had left a note on the door saying, "Do not come in, carbon monoxide poisoning. Call authorities before you open the door." So they did, and then they found they killed themselves. But had lain undiscovered.
Yeah.
That was in Kerry somewhere, in a village somewhere in Kerry, I'm nearly certain.
I think that was up North Kerry, I could be wrong.
Yeah. It's only recent, it's only in the last 6 or 7 weeks, I think, yeah. But that's tragic, like, but that wouldn't happen in, you know, like, that's unusual for that to happen, but it just baffled me, that one in the city, in the Lough in Cork, it was like, it's a heavily populated place. I live close by, I knew the house, I knew the area, I know people living in the area. It's frightening that can happen with that amount of people around, you know.
Yeah.
Even so, maybe not so rurally, but in a community village like this, a village community like this, people look out for each other. That's the big difference.
Yeah, and see, that's a big thing as well. Like, you would see an awful lot. People would tell you, check on your neighbours, check on your kind of your older loved ones and all that stuff. Whereas you wouldn't have to be told before. Going back a couple of years ago, you just land into the house and say, "Oh, how are you, Margaret? What's your story these days?"
Yeah.
Do you know?
Nowadays, like, I wouldn't go knocking on doors in the city.
No.
You know, to check up and stuff. You'd be told, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, or if you knock on the wrong door, or so you wouldn't. People tend to keep themselves to themselves, and that's kind of a shame. Like when I grew up, where I grew up years ago, Nurse fucking 90% of the houses you know who's living there. No, there'll be a few houses around there keep themselves to themselves, but yeah, more often than not, everyone knew each other, you know, and it was grand. Like, that's gone nowadays, I think, you know. People, with all our communication, we don't really talk anymore, you know.
And it was another thing there, everyone used to help each other out as well.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you'd still have that mentality of saying, bringing the kids in from area then.
Yeah.
Or saying, "No, you go over to someone's house and be like, can I borrow a cup of sugar or something?" You know?
Yeah.
And there was one thing my mum used to do, and I've noticed it a bit here, where it's like, say now someone be borrowing a cup of sugar off you or anything now, but every now and then you go in and you do you go to them and be like, "Can I borrow a bit of butter or something?"
Yeah.
Not the kid. You'd have to tell the kid. You'd send them over. You'd have to tell the kid, "Shut up now. You can't be giving. We have loads of butter. You can't be saying that though. Shut up." We just got to let them know. We just got to. We got to borrow something off them so they know you can.
To keep the barter system going, like.
And it was just the neighbourly love that, like, that's pretty much gone even a bit around here, like.
But there is a bit of it. It's still alive down in these parts, I think.
Yeah, it's
good
going.
to come in here. I was in here the bank holiday weekend a few weeks ago. Brilliant atmosphere. Like, and the pub was packed. For a pub that had been empty, I was delighted to see it was packed. Couldn't get in the back door. I actually went down there, bailed out after a while, because it was full of the community and everyone enjoying it. Everyone got up and sang a song. No animosity. It was great to see. You don't see that kind of camaraderie in pubs in the city. In the pubs in the city, people keep to themselves. You know, you go in, you go with three of your buddies. You're drinking with your three buddies. You're not mixing with the whole pub. You know, whereas here. I came in here last night, for instance, threw my jacket there, ended up sitting over there, and then met Mert over there. And you know, you meet people, and it's a social thing. Whereas in the city, it's more concentrated. Mm-hmm. You're out with your buddies, and that's all. You know, you're not out mixing, and everyone kind of keeps themselves to themselves a little bit more. It's a bit sad, like. Yeah. I think, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm. We've kept you for a while now.
Right.
Shut up. I'm going to ask you these 2 questions now.
Not guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's a tough one now. Mm-hmm. Is there any aspect of Ireland from when you were younger that you would like to preserve for the younger generation? Think of anything that'd be missing now.
That's missing now.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that frightens me, something that is here now that wasn't there, mightn't be the direct answer to your question, but social media frightens me. Young people.
It's very scary, yeah.
It frightens me that young people have too much information too early in life now. Look, young people are curious, that's fine. I think they've too much information readily available. I know when I was growing up, I didn't know what depression was when I was 10 years of age. I didn't know what it meant. I certainly didn't know what it felt like. Nowadays, I think they have so much information. Now, I know young people are under a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah.
Like, young people have always been under pressure. I think social media doesn't help it.
Yeah, because part of it as well, I'm actually very happy you brought this up. When you're exposed to information that you shouldn't know about already when you're that young, you begin to obsess over it. So now we went from not that many people openly talking about depression and saying they have depression to, like, I know a lot of people I'm friends with now, sure half of them would say they're depressed, half of them would say they have anxiety, all that stuff. And that's a good thing because it should be less
Well, at least
stigmatized.
they're talking about it.
Of course you should talk to people when you feel bad. But it's the rate it increased at which worries me. So what I think, now, I have no facts behind this, it's only my personal opinion. But I think what it is when you learn it so young, you start to obsess about it. And when it's the only thing that's on your mind, it's like the flower that you water grows the most.
Yeah.
Do you know? So if it's always on your mind, then you're always paying attention to it. You know,
you're going to lend yourself to it.
Yeah. After a while, it'll begin to affect you in a big way.
Maybe, you might have a point. Look, I just believe for young people now, life is very serious, very soon.
Yeah.
For them, as in, I hear stories about 10-year-olds with eating disorders and and these things happen. I understand, but the rates at which these things are growing, it's frightening, and I personally just believe social media has a lot to answer for that young people are obsessed with their image, and I'm all for looking after yourself and being healthy and all that, but I think now there's they're putting pressure on themselves to be something that they're not. They're just trying to conform and be like the rest,
You're dead right.
Yeah. It frightens me. Social media frightens me, and if there was one thing I'd get rid of social media. If to go back in time, I wish social media. I think the internet's brilliant and all that.
Yeah.
I remember the internet. I'm kind of the generation of the internet, because the internet just came in when it was just coming. Websites were coming mainstream when I was in first year in school. So the internet was kind of growing, And we were all for the internet. It was brilliant. It was great for information. I don't think the internet was ever.
It's a lot different nowadays.
Showing fucking suicide videos on Twitter. I don't think that's why we invented the internet.
There was a big. Obviously, that's always been around. Even when I was growing up, there'd always be some weirdo inside in school, and he'd run up to you and he'd be like, "Look at this video," and it's some fella on Best Score or Live Leaking or something awful happening to him.
Yeah.
But I'd say the switch when everyone started taking themselves way too seriously in terms of online image and all that stuff was COVID. Because no one had anything better to do, so it's all they did.
Well, it did explode in COVID. Yeah.
So if you look at
nobody any good. I don't think.
It really did.
It set young people back.
Yeah.
Like, what age were you in COVID? For instance, when it started.
16.
I would have been 14.
17.
You would have been which?
14.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's a couple of years of big development in your lives.
It was fucking demonic stuff as well.
You're just hitting puberty.
Yeah.
You're going to go out. You want to go out and sow your oats. You want to meet people. That set people back a long way.
We were very lucky here. I know I was anyway, because I'm a homebody anyway. But there's a difference between being able to go out and being forced to be at home.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that I could sneak out and go to town, and me and one of the other boys would just off around town for a couple of hours, and you'd have your time away from home. But it was this being forced to be in home. It's like house arrest. It was like house arrest, and it done so much damage to my generation.
To your generation.
Yeah.
More so than I think the older people outside of financial. We all got. I loved it personally.
Yeah.
It was my first time ever sitting on my ass ever. I didn't know what it was like to have more than a week off, ever in my life. So to be told to sit down your arse there for a year and a half, you can't do anything. I loved it. It changed me as a person, probably for the better. But And look, I stopped cooking after it and all that as well. But for young people, it frightens me like that. You're right, social media, they had nothing else to do, bar go on the internet. And look, thank God we had it and all that. But I think for social development of young people, ye in particular, because you were at those fundamental, very important years, and you're being told, you can't be within a metre of your buddy, you're not allowed to see him, you can't go for a walk, you're not allowed to play sport. You know, you can't have no wrestling or whatever.
It got to a point like where you'd be at home and you've nothing better to do. So you're on the Xbox and you're just staring at the home screen.
Square eyes, like,
because you don't even want to play it at that point because you've been playing it for so long, like.
But it's just, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. I think it's set. Young people have a lot of pressure on them, and I think that leaves a scar on young people.
See, it's not even that it's societal pressure, we'll say. It's all people putting pressure on themselves because they expect greater things. Because when you go on social media the whole time, and you could be sitting at home and you're like, my life is awful boring sometimes. And then you go on Instagram or anything, and you're looking at highlight reels of everyone else's life, and you're like, well, my life is nothing like that. Like,
which they're all, everyone's life is great on Instagram in a way, and that's, look, my bugbear with social media is that, oh, look, fake lips and whatever, and it's all about image and how happy you are. It's bullshit. It's not real. They're not your friends. You know, they're followers. They're not your friends. They don't care about you. They're looking for numbers. And this whole thing of, oh, how many followers and influencers and all this carry on, it's bizarre to me. Like, they're not your I've 800 friends on Facebook. You don't have 800 friends on Facebook. No one has 800 friends, like, and you know, are you gonna meet 800 friends for Christmas dinner, or you know, it's fake, and it kind of I think it set people. It's called social media, and I think it's set people back socially, like.
It is very antisocial in a sense, like, you know.
For something that's called social, it's actually quite. I find it quite antisocial. Your head's buried in it.
And it's the falseness of it all as well. Like, I know a girl in town now, and she wants to be like, let's say, a lifestyle influencer and all that. So what she does is she'll go on holidays every once in a while, but she'll take a load of pictures. So what she'll do is then, she might be at home 3 weeks out of the month. That 1 week she's away, she'll take a load of photos, many as she can. She'll do the same thing next month. But what she does then is throughout that 3 weeks, she keeps posting those pictures. So people still think she's on holidays. Reality, she's in town working away, like. Do you know?
That's correct. That's, again, it's false. It's not real, you know. And like, then you've younger people looking at that going, oh, I want to be like that. I don't think, you know, I grew up, my idol was Jimmy Barry Murphy, not Kim Kardashian, like, as in, what's she famous for? What's her talent? You know, and these young people, they're influenced by even that word influencer, like, it's crazy, but I think young people aspire to be and look up to false idols nowadays, you know, the Kardashians.
And they're the wrong influences as well, like, because it's all...
she's famous because she's a fat arse or, you know, big lips or something, and you're going, when we were growing up, we had our heroes, our idols were real, like, you know, I grew up in Cork, Dennis Irwin was a bars man, like, Jimmy Barry Murphy, absolute legend. We got to touch him, shake his hand once a week if we wanted. They were real. This, like, you know, Kim Kardashian or, you know, all these ones, I don't want to be picking on Kim or whatever, but...
No, but you're dead right in saying it.
It's not right, it's, they're not real, you know?
Yeah, and the big thing with that then as well is, all of your idols would have had great morals and all that stuff, and they would have been stand-up people. Most of these people are scumbags. Do you know, they only care about their bottom line.
Themselves, like.
And it's like, it's going to do much more harm to the generation coming up after us than it did to ours. Don't get me wrong, it done damage to ours. I know an awful lot of people who are awful pricks, like.
You're up now. Point. You have the scars from COVID. You're up. You're part of it. You've contributed. You're into the socials, whatever. There's no more we can do with you. Effectively, you're up. It's going to be your problem. What is going to happen with the next generation? What's their social media going to be? What kind of information are they going to have at the ready with the amount of misinformation out there now?
Especially with AI and everything coming into it.
AI, and you've Russia, Trump, Ukraine, Gaza, the Israelis, all the false information. It's frightening what's going to happen with young people. Like.
Yeah. And see what happens then is when you spend too much time on it, the whole cookie system they have in place, they put you into one of two sides.
Yeah.
You know, and they just pit people against each other.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's frightening. You know? It's frightening. And nowadays you can't believe anything you read. Anything you read, literally. I love to read newspapers, current affairs, reading legal stuff and court cases and stuff like that. You have to be careful. You have to choose wisely what you're reading about, and a lot of the time you think you're reading something, and it's not true. Like you know, you think it might be, it's not. You know, so yeah, and then that influences young people. So yeah, that'd be if I had one thing to get rid of.
Yeah.
Social media, not the internet.
Social media.
Social media has created a bit of a monster, and there's no putting that monster back in the box.
There really isn't.
No. I think that it's like shutting the stable door after the horse is bolted. Like
it's almost a bit dystopian, like do you know? Because you could be in a room full of people, and you'd be having a crack, talking to one of the lads, and then the other four of them are stuck into the phone, like do you know?
Crazy.
Last question now.
Go for it.
Is there any words of wisdom you would like to give to the younger generation coming up?
Ooh.
It's a tough one as well.
Toughie. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
That'd be the big thing. I remember when I first started working in the Park Hotel, there was a chef in there, Bruno. And he taught me a lot of good things. And first thing he used to always say, enjoy your work as well. Like, don't take everything so seriously. Yeah, obviously.
Within reason, like, you know.
Devote yourself to it, put your head down. But it's important, you gotta enjoy yourself. Like,
you gotta take time to just smell the roses. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can't just be flat out head down the whole time.
Yeah, and that'd be one thing, young people. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life. Stay away from social media. You know, that would be my thing. And look, play a bit of sport. I think sport is, for young people, it's brilliant. You know, I'm a gahhead. But like, I think back, I was a mad little bollocks when I was young. And I know that if I didn't have that structure and routine and camaraderie of being out in a GA club 2 or 3 days a week, either training or flaking lumps into each other on a pitch, I'd have been down smashing windows and causing havoc. And you know, but I think team sports down here, it's all Gaelic football.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on it. It's priceless. That
it's community and camaraderie.
Community.
Like,
it teaches you a lot. It teaches you how not to be a selfish little shit for a start. I think nowadays people can be selfish.
Sure, that goes back to the whole thing about social media then as well, because everyone's so self-obsessed.
They're all obsessed.
Yeah.
But I think good Junior B football match wouldn't be long knocking that out of you, you know? That kind of way.
I'd say it's the same reason the boxing and all that is so popular in the inner cities, like,
yeah,
because it gives you a spot where
discipline.
It's like, it's discipline, it's hard
also
work.
Boxing gets the aggression out of you as well.
Yeah.
It's brilliant for inner city stuff like that, unreal. But
especially learning how to defend yourself if you're living
exactly,
in cities.
But just it gives you a discipline and a sense of value and worth as well.
Yeah.
But for young people, in Cork, I'd always want them playing hurling, you know. Any young fella I'd ever meet, if you're playing a bit of hurling or anything, or you know, I presume it's football down here, Gaelic football. But I think
you don't hear the Kerry hurling much, like.
No, you hear a bit of it around here, right? A few of the boys there claim to be warriors from back in the day.
I don't know what that was like.
And I never read the newspaper articles, but a few of the boys there think that they should have a couple of all-stars, I say, between them over there.
Sure, look.
False dawns, no, I know, like. Yeah. No, team sports for young people, you can't put a price on that. It teaches them so much. It gives them lifelong friendships. It gives them a sense of belonging. It's kind of like tribal nearly, you know. You feel like you're going to war with these people.
Yeah. It's a huge outlet, like.
It teaches you teamwork.
Yeah.
It teaches you how not to be selfish. You mightn't be thinking this all the time, but I know there are things that I got out of GAA and all that. So that'd be one thing for young people. Don't take yourself too seriously and go and enjoy yourself. Don't be a bollocks either.
Don't be bollocks.
Don't be a bollocks. Like, as in, don't make anyone else's life more difficult just for the sake of it. You know, you do see a lot of that. Just people being shitheads, like, for the sake of it. So yeah, that'd be my advice.
Thank you very much for joining us, John.
No problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you, right?
Enjoyed it. Cheers. Thank you very much, man. Hope that's alright. Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Now, so ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that now. I had a blast filming that interview. I know Tom did as well, like the two of us were just there talking away to John. He's some man, top man. You know, he's great crack. As always, all of our social medias are down below in the description. We have a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We also have Patreon as well. If you feel like supporting us and helping us out in the future, we have YouTube memberships as well and the previously mentioned Patreon. There's also Super Chats if you don't actually want to commit to a monthly fee that is a membership. You know, you could just throw us a bit of bob. Only if you feel like helping us out. We're not forcing anyone, you know, oh, give us all your money. We're not doing any of that. Like, it's if you feel like helping us out, the options are there that you can. Yeah, I just want to say thank you again, guys, to everyone who's been supporting the videos. You know, it is great motivation. You know, it's helping us all keep going, just seeing the same people pop in and pop out again, you know. It's nice, you know. We feel like we have a little community going here. But, yeah, I have nothing else to say, guys. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys.